We're probably going to wind up changing this starter, but because since he does local, he has to start the truck many times a day. These two wires here, I just want to show while I'm putting these cables back on after I clean them up a bit, that you got one flat side behind these terminals, most of them, and one side that's bent. Well, the flat side, when you got two wires going together like these two are, they started to go together like one of them, the wrong one behind the other, because that's just the way I pull them back over, and I noticed that right away, that these flat sides were opposite each other. They need to be facing each other, or else they just won't tighten down good. So, kind of self-explanatory, but if you haven't been through it before, you might miss it. And another thing, when you're putting wires on like this, you want to make sure that the bent side is not able to touch something that could ground it out. We're far enough away from anything over here, we're fine, but in some cases that could be an issue. Okay, sorry if there's any audio problems, because it is awful windy today. It's winter time, it's cold. I hooked the batteries back up, hooked the starter cables back up. If it doesn't start now, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the starter, because we definitely have power up here. It's probably just the solenoid, because it does start intermittently for the owner. It is the solenoid will replace the starter too. Let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. Well, we're not getting quite enough power up here, but it's good. At least we're getting power every time I hit the starter, so maybe it was just dirty cables up here. This is the big ground cable here where my finger is, and it comes out underneath the frame down here, and it goes on the frame right there. I just took that off and cleaned that. That's important that that's clean too. I'm going to crank this thing up again, or try to. There's my voltmeter, showing a little bit low, but it should start on that. And I want to watch and see how low it goes when I hit the starter. It is going too low. I am going to have to charge these batteries. I already changed the dies in here, put a different, bigger size for this bigger lug. And I already cleaned this wire. Here's the first one we did a while ago. I think I mentioned I wrapped some tape on it to hold it on there, but it's that smaller wires. I've got the 6 sides on it now with the, that's how it's squeezed on there. This one will look like that too when it's done. So I'm gonna, yeah, I got the wire clean. I'm gonna put this on and then tape it like I did the other one, so that it stays on there while I'm getting the crimper down here to squeeze that on tight. You got that on there, but I want to mention, yeah, it's not crimped yet. I'm going to tape it, but I just wanted to say I'm going to change this end too. Right now I need it hooked up because we're still charging the batteries. But I just want to say that since the flat side of this is on the bottom right now, and these cables are so big that it's not going to be possible to rotate this and spin it around to get the flat side up. And I'm saying that to say that since I'm going to change this one too, I'm going to make sure I have one flat side up and one flat side down, so that I can put the two flat sides together when I put them on. But I'm really, that's just what you got to keep that in mind. In this particular case, I'm only putting one of the cables over here on this battery. There's this jumper wire here, and then we'll put the other one on this battery. But if that is going to be an issue, if you were going to put both of these cables in the same place, you want to make sure that you figure that out before you crimp them on there. I'm going to change this crimper lug here, or this these dies. I just crimped that down with these that were a little bit big, and the reason why is because the next size down was really going to be too tight, and when it squeezed it down, it was going to squeeze a lot of this metal out the sides and make what I think I heard somebody say bat wings. So I put this one on first, which fits about like that, leaves me nearly 1/4 of an inch, about 3/16 gap on both sides. The other one was going to be like nearly 1/2 an inch gap on both sides, and it would have messed up the lug. So I squeezed it down first with this one. I'm going to put the next size smaller in now, which would have been too tight if I started with that, and then I'm going to crimp it again on the same position so that I'm squeezing the same. Those 6 sides are going to be in the same place, but they're going to be a little bit tighter this time. This is how it wound up after I crimped it the first time, but I don't think it's going to be tight enough because I really didn't feel enough resistance while it was closing. Just all of a sudden the crimper was shut tight and didn't really feel it squeezing it, so that's why I want to put the smaller size in it now, the next smallest size, and do it again. And I got that squeezed down on there nice and tight. Now what I can do is go on ahead and bolt this one down over here, and then I can unbolt this one and we'll continue to charge. I just took the battery charger off. It's showing 14 volts. Got both of those large cable ends changed back there in the battery box. I believe it's going to start now. Let's see what it does. A little slow, but it works. I forgot to watch that voltage meter. Let me watch that voltage meter. I want to see how low it goes when I crank on it. Yeah, when it goes down that low, that's pretty low. So I think the batteries still need to be charged some more. Either that or we still got a weak cable someplace. I'm going to let it run for a while, let it charge up some more, and do some more cable cleaning on it after it's run for a while. Still having some starting issues after it's been running for quite a while, probably a good hour or so. It was on a charger for a while. We changed all those cable ends, and when I crank it, I still hear the starter dragging real slow. I got one more test to do, and that is to separate the batteries and test the batteries individually and make sure that they're all up on their charge and that we don't have a bad battery that's pulling the other ones down. But listen to how slow this thing drags. At least it's starting every time now. Takes a little while for the voltmeter to come back up to 14. It's crawling up there slowly. We probably have a bad starter. We'll make sure the batteries are good first. To test the batteries, you got to take either the positive or the negative cable off of all the batteries. You can leave it on one of them, but the other ones have to be disconnected. And the other side doesn't matter. You can leave all those connected if you want. We'll put the tester, put the positive over there on one of those positive terminals, and then we'll reach over and test each one of these with the negative terminal or the negative clamp. We'll test each one of these batteries individually, one after the other, but they have to be separate to do that. I've come to the conclusion that he has damaged his starter, and it was old anyway because of those bad connections in the battery box, the damaged cable ends, and one cable that needed a washer under it to make contact that he didn't know about when he changed the batteries. Batteries all tested out good. I'm going to tighten this alternator because I shouldn't be able to turn this belt by hand. I'm doing that with one hand, and I had him to test that for me, and he should have been able to do that. And why he couldn't do that when I told him on the phone, I don't know, but I can do it with my left hand while I'm holding the camera with the right, so that belt does need to be tightened a bit. I'm back on this starting job. It's been another day because I had to pack up and find parts and then go to work this morning, spend half a day at work. We put another starter on because it was dragging so bad, and underneath this little red cap right here we had an issue with a little block that you bolt a few of these wires onto. It had to come off to get the starter out. Well, it wasn't coming off in one piece. I spent a lot of time and couldn't get it off. I had to cut the cables off of it, take this part off that's bolted onto the block, and try to find new cable ends and cut the ends of the cables back a little bit, put new ends on. The ends are not a standard size. We had issues with that. With some improvising and the parts I could find, got the starter on, got the batteries bolted back down, the cables bolted down in the battery box. Now I'm going to hit the starter for the first time. Jumping like that, but it'll smooth out. I guess it's just cold, but it sure started quick. That was good. I guess we'll just wind this up for now, and got another job to do. Got a fuel leak underneath. I don't know if we'll video that or not. We'll find out what it is. Alright, thanks for watching.